really a powerful CD. And you will understand why I use that song as the intro song for tonight. So, tonight's topic is one that many of us, I am almost positive, have gone through many times. And for whatever reason, I'm pretty sure all through school, the topic is when bullies play victim. And I brought this topic up. It's actually been on my list for quite a while. And I brought it up because of an actual situation that I went through with a young lady. Very nice young lady. And I helped her with a lot of stuff. It wasn't just me. A couple people helped her with a lot of stuff. And then, after a while, it was basically as if, oh my gosh, you're taking over my stuff when I was asked to provide these different things. And the one thing I don't ever want to do is to down anyone. You don't kick people when they're down. So I've never really spoken of this at all, and I won't go into detail tonight. So, before we get started on tonight's topic, I want to remind everyone out there that is watching, don't forget to grab your copy of the 5 Characteristics of a Stimulating Relationship. This book is available right now for paperback delivery through Amazon. It will be available for ebook on Kindle and the Kindle reading app October the 24th. So you can pre-order your copy of this relationship guide right now. Relationship guide. Hello. This is what we are missing right now. We have a very high rate of divorce and separations and people who just do not want to be in a relationship. That right there is your relationship guide. You do not want to not have that in your hands. So head on over to Amazon and you can search for my name, Coach K, or you can just search for the book title, which is 5 Characteristics of a Stimulating Relationship. I also want to remind all of my ladies, especially over here in our private Facebook group in the Own Your Ish Sis group, Wine and Wine is coming back, y'all. Yes, Wine and Wine is coming back. This is a time where you can have fun, learn, and have fun. Okay? That is coming on November the 20th. So be looking out for those tickets to become available. Anywho, let's get into it. When bullies play victim. So I'm wondering, have you guys heard that saying, don't throw rocks and then hide your hands? So if you really think about that, that's pretty self-explanatory, right? That's basically someone who will go up to a house or a window or whatever, throw a rock, potentially break it, and then hide their hands as if, I didn't do it. And so that is a lot of that is happening in the world today. A lot of it. And it's sickening. And what that does is it devalues when true victims of bullying comes forward. Now, when I speak of bullying, I'm not necessarily talking about the school age, person on the playground that's the big kid that's going around bullying everyone. I'm talking about full-blown adults who are in life that know better, that are deciding to not be at their best, and then they play victim to those around them to receive some kind of empathy or sympathy. So let's start with something very basic. What is a bully? So a bully is a person who habitually seeks to harm or intimidate others for what they perceive as value. Those who they perceive as vulnerable. So they are just mean-spirited people who probably are hurt, that go around and browbeat, demean, or intimidate other people who they see or feel like is weaker than them. They seek to harm or intimidate or coerce people into their way of thinking and doing for whatever reason. And so what happens is, honestly, for the most part, if you've ever been able to reach or sit down and talk with a bully, and you really kind of get to the core of why are you this way? What are you doing this for? You will quickly learn that for the most part, bullies have been hurt or bullied in their past. And what they did not do, they were never held accountable for it. They were also never talked to about it. They probably never brought it to anyone, and if they did, they weren't believed. And so they internalized that bullying, and then they started to do it to other people. Why? Well, it's because they wanted to feel better than they felt from their bullying, so they started to bully other people. Now, when this happens, when the bully becomes the bully, that person, because they have been through a bullying situation or they've been hurt, when it comes time to being confronted about what they're doing, they turn into the victim. And so whatever happened to them in their past, they're now going to bring this forward when they're confronted about doing what it is that they're actively doing now. That can sometimes make it hard for some people to confront a bully. Not me. Because here's the thing. Reproducing an action that hurt you on other people so that you can feel good is not an excuse to me. That's not good enough for me. And so if you're finding that this person's been hurt before, and so that's why they're doing it, great. You can hear that reasoning for whatever. However, that person still needs to be held accountable for their action. Why? Because now they're going to possibly create a new cycle of a bullying. There is absolutely no reason, none, no reason, zero reason. I don't care who you sick on me for saying this. There is zero reason for you not to hold a bully accountable for their actions. I don't care what has happened to them in the past. Yes, they can be treated and healed for that thing that has happened in the past. However, a part of that treatment and healing does involve being held accountable for the actions or action that was just done. One place that I see this as a huge thing that happens often, that usually is not addressed or not confronted, is when it comes to family. And I know I'm striking nerves, and I'm good with that. Listen, if you're just joining or you're catching a replay, hashtag replay, and let me know your thoughts and your opinions on this topic, when bullies play victim. Okay, so let's talk about this family dynamic. And I know that there are going to be a lot of people that's like, oh, but it's my mom, or it's my grandma, or it's my sister. I don't give a darn who it is. Everyone should be held accountable for their actions. If there is a person, and let me say this, what bullying looks like is not always what you see on TV. You're not going to always see the big, bulky kid going around and just pushing little kids down on the playground. You're not going to see, somebody that's going around and, just hollering in people's faces or just taking stuff out of their hands. That's not the only way that bullying looks. Bullying looks different in various situations. So a bullying situation could be a mother who consistently tries to intimidate their child to do things for them. It's one thing to ask. It's one thing to, expect a certain expectation of a parent. But to consistently try to intimidate your child to take me to the store. Oh, you owe me. You supposed to. You have to browbeat or demean or to purposely intimidate their child. And when I say their child, I'm talking about if the mother is 40, 50 years old and the child is 20 or 30 years old. I'm talking about that dynamic because that's where it happens a lot of times. We have to get out the mindset that bullying only happens on the elementary school, the middle school, and high school play yard. Bullying happens all through life. And it really happens in the household a lot. And it's something that we have to be able to address. I don't want to say confront, because confrontation is always seen as a negative, and we don't need to really confront anything. These are things we need to address. As a child, no matter how old you get, you will almost always feel inferior to your mother. That is the first woman love of your life. This is the highest power, and this is your higher being. This is the person that brought you forth in life, right? And so you always feel this little inferiority to your parent already. So that's already there. So then if your parent takes this intimidation approach when they speak to you or when they want things from you or when they action around you, that is when it becomes a bullying situation. When you're no longer doing things because that's my mother, and of course I want to make sure that my mother has or can go this place or whatever. When it becomes, oh, I have to do this because I feel intimidated by, or I'm anxious, I feel bad if I don't do it. If you're in that mode of, I feel bad if I don't do this thing for my mom, or my mom is going to yell at me, or she's going to, hold this thing over my head. If that's the dynamic that you have with your mother or your parent, whatever it is, understand that you are in a bullying situation. And then what happens is, if you try to address it, if your mother then turns into this victim of, oh my, I've done all these things for you. I'm always there for you. You remember when you needed to pay your light bill and I gave you this $20, or I gave you this, or I took you this place? Now we're playing the victim. And it's unfair because the true victim that's trying to address the situation is not having their issue held accountable. The person is not being held accountable for their action. And here's the kicker of it all. When the story gets told to the rest of the family, the gossip meal, right? It is, oh, I asked so-and-so to take me to the store and they just blew up on me. They just got so upset with me. I don't understand why. And so now you have this almost mob mentality because the rest of the family folk done got involved. And you're now the bad person when in actuality, you're the true victim in this situation and the bully is over here playing victim. What you would need to do in that situation is lean on facts. What can often happen, and it's very natural, is because we have feelings, we're human beings. When we want to speak our piece, we start to speak from a place of emotion and opinion. When in actuality, when you're ready to speak your piece, lean on facts. If your grandmother comes to you, oh baby, why would you do your mother like that? Why didn't you just take her to the store? Why would you do that? You just stick to the facts of the situation. Ask your grandma. For the third time, mom came, yelled at me, told me what I had to do. I felt honestly intimidated. So what I did was I said to mom, I feel intimidated by you. I don't want to do this thing. And that's where the problem came into play. Now it's up to grandma if she believes you or not. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter. You're given that factual explanation for yourself, not to gain any type of popularity with the rest of the family. If you are given that explanation to gain popularity with the family, you are going to drive yourself completely insane. You're going to realize that I'm getting nowhere. You're going to begin to internalize that anger, and you are now going to become the bully in your household. And you see how I took that whole cycle around where I talked about it at the beginning, how it's usually a full-blown circle cycle, right? No, once you speak your facts, it is done. That is a situation that is done. You don't need to explain it to auntie, cousin, da-da-da-da-da. You know what? I've said what I had to say, and I'm done. Let me be very clear to everyone that is under the sound of my voice, whether you are live or you are catching the replay. Family does not get a pass. And when you give a pass to your family, you are doing a disservice to the longevity and generations beyond of your family. It is detrimental to yourself, to your family members, to not hold them accountable for their actions, because they are not going to get better by you giving them a pass. In my family, people call me mean. I'll take that. Because what mean means to them is I stand my ground. I run my household how I'm going to run it. No one can come into my household. I don't care who you are and tell me what to do. I don't accommodate outside of my comfort level anything in my space or my surroundings. I don't do anything that I don't want to do, because when I do things because I want to, I don't do it with the expectation of receiving anything. I don't expect to receive a thank you. I don't expect to receive any type of, good behavior afterwards. I don't expect those things from other people. Why? Because I do it because I simply want to do it. Now, if I don't want to, I'm probably not going to do it. And that's down to something that my 10-year-old child might ask me. That is something that I prepare them in life. Because what I never want to happen, I never want them to fall into a situation where they felt bullied into anything, and thus they will never turn around in their household and bully anyone into it. A lot of this starts at home as little small children in the very first relationship that we all get into. And I bet you we don't even think about this. The very first relationship that you get into in your entire life is that with your parents, external of yourself. Think about that. We're so busy thinking that relationships are love relationships, marriages, boyfriend, girlfriend, 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 boyfriend, boyfriend. No, the very first relationship that you are in is with that of your parents. And so if that is of a tenuous bully victim situation, you're going to go out into the world. You're going to go on the schoolyard, and the way that you're going to portray yourself on the schoolyard with your friends is the same way that you were treated in your household. So if your mother's always demanding, bullying, making you feel anxious and scared, that's what you're going to do when you go outside of the household. You hear these cycles that I'm talking about, because everything I'm talking about is coming full circle. If you get a call from your child's school and they are talking about your child's out here intimidating people, bullying people. This is your child that's doing that. And you don't understand that it has to come from somewhere. The first thing you can do, if you know for a fact that you are not that parent that is just overbearing, that every time you're talking down and you don't get face level and give your child a respectable conversation. And yes, you should have respectable conversations with your children so that they know how to have respectable conversations with you and with other people. If you are that person that has those respectable conversations, then you can ask, is this something that's being done at the school? Is this a behavior that is being picked up from somewhere else? Is it coming from the daycare? Is it when you go visit Aunt June's house that someone there is intimidating you? These are questions and observations that you want to begin to have to evaluate where this behavior is coming from. You don't just walk up to the child and say, you need to stop doing X, Y, Z and jerking them up and da-da-da. Because guess what? Now you're just pissing them off more. Because remember, that's their first relationship. And you're showing them how to be in a relationship with someone. You're showing them that when a call comes in about something that they don't ask questions, they immediately get mad and start stomping around. This is what you're programming into your children as to how relationships work. So if you walk into a fast food restaurant and you see these young adults working, ages 17 through 25, some of them even 30 years old, and they are in there stomping around and talking crazy, cussing and carrying on and acting just a plumb fool at work, someone failed them at home. Simple as that. And I know a lot of parents out here are like, well, I taught them everything that they need to know. I taught them this, that, and the third. You're absolutely right. You absolutely taught them that. Because all we can do is give them structure. What they do when they get into the world is something different. Because if you see that behavior, and yes, I'm 42 years old, and when I see a teenager that is acting silly or stupid to the point where it irritates me, I will say something to them. Are you okay? Am I bothering you at work? Because I can go to your house and make these groceries if it's better for you. If you do something like that and that child immediately changes their attitude, they probably receive good structure at home. They're just out here showing their ass at work, showing off in front of their friends. But if they respond to you with a disrespectful banter, then that's what they learned all of their life, and that's what they receive. So that's all they know to do. So in addition to being a life coach and certified sexologist, my background is in HR. I have a master's in human business with a concentration in human resources. And I did human resources for well over 15 years. So I've worked with many different types of people, attitudes, young people, old people, all types of people. I've worked with people. And the one thing that I can say, if you've met anyone that's ever worked with me anywhere, the first thing that they'll do is say, when I first met her, she was mean. But the second thing that they're going to tell you is, I understand, and she's always given me good advice. The mean part is, I don't play people's games. What you got at home, you're not going to bring here. I don't play at work because I know that you are a representation of your family line and of yourself. The one thing that I've told every single one of my children that hit 9th grade, and we have 4 of them that have hit 9th grade so far. We got 1 more to go. Every single one of my children, when they went from 8th grade into 9th grade, I made it very clear. I said, from this point forward, this is where you create your reputation. This 9th grade living through 12th grade is where people are going to begin to form their rest of your life opinion of you. So what you do here, beginning in 9th grade, absolutely matters. And because of that, our children have always been extremely open when they have situations at school, whatever it is. They're open to coming home and talking to us about it so we can give them a general overview structure of what they should try, and we allow them to put their own pieces of the puzzle in that and then go and do that thing. It does several things. It teaches our children to communicate effectively. When you can communicate effectively, you don't get frustrated. Frustrated people become bullies because they don't know how to get their message across any other way than through intimidation or just pure spite and meanness. I hope we're connecting those dots here and you get what I'm saying and how that all comes together. If you have a child that just stomps around the house all the time and all you're doing is yelling at them for stomping around the house, at some point I need you to go look in the mirror and look at yourself. How are you addressing, how are you effectively communicating with this teenager who, yes, knows right from wrong, but still doesn't have a full concept of life? Come on now. The reason why bullies are able to so easily play victims is because at a really early age, they were never treated or healed from their own bullying situation. And many times, they probably didn't even recognize who the actual bully was. If your child's attitude automatically changes when they turn 16 and they just got their first job, it's possible that there's a bully situation happening at work. But not in the traditional sense of someone's teasing them, someone's picking on them, but through the way that their manager may talk to them, or the way that they're demanded around by customers. I had, with my daughter, she worked at Wendy's. She was 16 years old. We went to pick her up from her job. She sat in the back seat, and you know how you just feel something. I turned around and said, "Well, what's wrong?" Because she didn't look happy. She said, "Oh, nothing. I know my child. You know your children." She said, "Nothing. I turned the light on in the car because now I'm going to turn all the way around. What's wrong?" And I believe a tear dropped out of her eye. So then I'm like, "Oh no, you need to tell me what happened right now." And she told me. The manager in there was yelling at her. Number one, we're not going to do that. So the manager was yelling at her and speaking to her crazy and trying to make her work in an area where you have to be 18 and over to work. And she knew that. And so she was frustrated because she told her, "I'm not supposed to be over here." So I told her, I said, "Take off all that stuff. Take the hat off and the shirt." She said, "Mama, I don't have a shirt on." "I don't care. Take that hat off. Take that shirt off." So I took her hat. This was at Wendy's. Her hat and her shirt. And I asked to speak to the manager. Manager comes around finally, because at first she didn't want to. And I said, "That out there is my child. You will not speak to her any other way than in a respectable way, because we speak to her with respect. She will not be back here to work." I'm pretty sure it was a whole bunch of other words in between that, but I'm giving y'all a short version. But what that does for my 16-year-old, it continues to show that bullying is never going to happen. When you are bullied, you speak up about it, and we handle it in a way that we don't keep ourselves in that environment. And that also teaches my child that you don't have to stay in a situation that does not serve you. Never be bullied. Never be bullied for a job. There are too many people that are working in a place where they feel anxious, they feel intimidated, they're not happy, they're upset. People are stressing themselves literally to death at jobs because they feel like they have nowhere else to go. And the reason is no one taught them at an early age that there is no job worth your life because that job was there before you. It will run while you're sick, and it will sure as hell fill your position the day after you're dead. No one has taught the true bullying victims that they are worth more than that and how to get themselves out of that situation. And so if you are someone that finds yourself in that place where you are just stressed, you don't know how to make a move, things are just too much, whether it be at home, at work, your relationship, your marriage, wherever it is, I welcome you. Schedule a discovery call with me. Let's see if we can take steps to get you to a healed place. It doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily step out of that. It just means maybe you start to stand in who you are so that you do not become the bully that one day turns victim. Because I don't want that cycle to continue. One thing that I'd love to get messages from former clients of mine. And a couple of days ago, I got one from a young lady who I work with in a 6-week program. So I have an actual boot camp that's 5 weeks, but I work with her in a one-on-one 6-week life coaching scenario. And we talked about a lot of life things and standing in her purpose. And she sent me a text message that she recently finally left a place, a job that made her feel less than herself, took on a different position, working less time where she can focus on herself. Knowing that if not for us putting specific activities and measures and deadlines and things in place, she may not have been able to make that move. Those are the stories that I love to hear. I don't want to create a bully that would then be a victim. If you are scheduling a session with me, my goal is to help you to understand where you are, what got you there, and how we can heal that moving forward. There is a 4 video series that's called the Power of You Emergence webinar. There are 4 videos that talks about how you get to that core, how you understand the core of you. And just like I talked about at the beginning of the videos, how it all stems from home, that is a major piece of it. And so, because we're only here for up to 1 hour, I'm going to conclude you with this. Bullies that play victims are everywhere. They're heavily immersed in our family structure. You are probably someone who is teetering on the verge of being that bully that sometimes play victim. But here's the thing. If you're going to throw rocks, don't hide your hands. Own up to it. Own up to it so whoever is addressing you is able to help you. And they may not be the person that's going to hold your hand and walk you through the whole thing. But because they addressed you and they gave you the facts that you need, you can at least start to recognize, I'm out here throwing rocks. What can I do to stop? What can I do to get better? Because that part is going to be up to you. And as your life coach, I'm here for that. I'm here for you. This guide that I talked about at the beginning of the video, the 5 characteristics of a stimulating relationship, while it is very much for a relationship guide, and speaks of a romantic relationship, there are many activities in here and many of these words that can be applied to any relationship that you have, whether it be work, family, best friend. It can be used in a plethora of places. And so, for you, if you know a bully that is playing victim, do not allow that to happen in your space. Address it. It is up to them to heal it. It is up to you to address it. If you are the bully that is playing victim, cut it out. Reach out to me. Let's get you scheduled. Let's get this thing better. I definitely appreciate everyone that jumped on today. If you would like to have more information, if you are a woman who likes to keep herself accountable for her own actions, who wants to walk in her purpose, I welcome you to join us in the Own Your Ish Sis private Facebook group here on Facebook. You can go to CoachK101.com, join that group. We are accountable for ourselves. We share. I am in there often because my goal is to empower so that you can embrace. So I will see you guys back here on Friday. We had to move our our Monday room to Friday. Oh, by the way, if you didn't learn anything from yesterday, if you want to stay connected with me, do not forget to subscribe to my newsletter so you can stay connected. We don't own these platforms, so when they shut down, you can't find me. But my newsletter folks, they always can find me. So if you want to be a part of my newsletter so that we can stay connected, you can text the word subscribe to 804-967-4551. You can always catch these replays on YouTube as well. So don't forget, we got our Wine and Wine coming up. Wine and Wine coming up November the 20th. You can register now for the Fools in Love Couples Retreat that is coming up in March 31st through April the 4th, 2022. Registration is open. Snag your seats now before prices come up. Also, November the 12th and 13th, the Intimate Moments Academy. That is 2 days virtual where you will learn to be more intimate literate. Learn how to read and write intimacy, and then we will action. So you can sign up for that virtual event as well. Sign up early so that I can send you all of your supplies. Yes, it comes with supplies. Ladies, this is going to be a little heavily geared towards our men, and you'll learn more about that during the academy. So fellas, if you're listening and if you want your lady to join, go ahead and get your tickets. One ticket is enough for both of you guys, so you don't need to get 2 tickets for 2 different people. For a couple. 1 ticket per couple, okay? So thank you all for joining me tonight for O.P.P Vibe, formerly known as Sex and Relationship Chat, where we're talking about when bullies play victim. This was a great discussion, guys. So if you have any questions or you want to be in touch with me, don't hesitate to reach me here on either the platforms that you are watching. Don't forget, #replay. Let me know your thoughts and what you picked up from tonight. I will see you guys back here on Friday where we're going to be talking about you didn't break chains, you just polished them. That's on the Midday Quickie. All right, guys, I will talk to you later. Enjoy the rest of your night. Bye, everybody.